Hello everyone, this is Neha Garg, Assistant Professor in Department of CSA, IGM University Gwalior, going to deliver a lecture on network security. Today we will discuss the principles of the network security, and after that we will discuss what are the ethical and legal issues. Right, these are the outlines of the today's presentation. First we discuss the principles of the network security. There are various principles of the network security like confidentiality, authentication, integrity, non-repudiation, access control, availability. After that, on the basis of these principles, we discuss the OSI standard for the security model, and at last we will discuss the ethical and legal issues. First, principles of the network security. So why we need the first we discussed why we need the principles for the network security, because these are some principles we can say that used to find solutions to tackle the attacks. Right, how we can tackle the attacks that explore or hack your secure information, hack your authenticated information. So how to secure your network, right, how to secure your data from these attacks. There is a need of some principles, right? So first of all, we will just discuss with the help of the real life example that what are these principles, right? Let's suppose take an example like there are two users, user A and user B, right? And let's suppose user A wants to send some message like it wants to send the message in the form of check, right? What does the check mean? Let's suppose there's $100 check she wants to send to the user B. So in normal way, what she will do, first they will write the check. They all will write the check and put inside the check in the envelope and send it to B, right? So let's suppose A will like to ensure that no one except B gets the envelope, right? If someone try to get the details of the check, this is known as confidentiality. This comes under confidentiality, is that no one will except B will get the details of the envelope. This is the case of confidentiality. Now let's suppose if A and B will ensure or sure that no one gets or damage the contents of the check, right? Know the details of the check is different, and get the check and change the contents or alteration with the text of check, like it change the amount, it change the date, it change the signature, it change the name, right? If someone try to damage or modify the contents of your check, this comes under integrity, which is your second principle. Right, now next one is that authentication. In general terms, let's suppose user B would assure that check has come from A, right? It means B should assure that check has comes from A. It means not from someone else take the position of A, right? Because there are in network there may be a chances that if someone take the position of the user and try to make the communicate with other person by taking the position of that person, right? So if B assure that the check has come from A, that no one from someone else take the position of A. This is the case of authentication, right? Now let's suppose if money is transferred from A's account to B's account, right? Money, let's suppose A wants to send the message to B in the form of check. So if money will be transferred from A's account to B's account, after transfer the amount, A refuse that I have not written the check. This is also the case that after the performing all the operations, transfer the amount to the bank, A refuse that I have not written the check that you have received, right? So this comes under non-repudiation, right? So this examples, from this example we have know that what is the confidentiality, integrity, authentication and non-repetition. Other principles also have access control and availability. So these principles, these two principles are not suitable for this example, so we will discuss these in detail, right? So I think confidentiality will be clear to you, right? So in general terms, or we can say if we are talking about the definition of the confidentiality, we can say that it compromised if an unauthorized person able to access the contents of the message. What is confidentiality? Confidentiality is compromised if an unauthorized person able to access the contents of the message, right? So this type of attack is called as interception. If someone loses your content or access your content, so that type of attacks comes under interception, right? So it will be more clear with the example, with the diagram. See here, there are three users A, B and C. So message will be confidential message between A and B. It is A will send the confidential or secret message to B by assurance that no one except B can access the message, right? But here what will happen? Some third person which is C, which may be attacker, will try to access the secret message which is sent from A to B without taking the permission of A and B, right? So this diagram comes under the confidentiality. It means another user C get access the message which is not desired and therefore defeats the purpose of confidentiality. Example of this could be a confidential email message sent by A to B which is accessed by C without the permission or knowledge of A and B. This type of attack is called as interception, right? So interception basically causes loss of message confidentiality. As you can see here, the person have sent the message to B. Here ATM pin, it sends a message like suppose mail ID and the ATM pin. So and they just send the confidential message that no one except this one will access the message. But here this donates that the attacker try to get the secret or confidential message, right? Now next one is the authentication. So if we are talking about the authentication, we can say that authentication mechanism helps establish the proof of identities. The authentication process ensure that the origin of an electronic message or document is correctly identified. For example, suppose the user C sends an electronic document over the internet to user B, right? However, the trouble is that user C has posed as user A. User C has posed as user A. It posed means that user C जो है वो A बन के बात कर रहा है. Ultimately, receiver have know that it is user A, but ultimately it is user C, right? As we can see here, it is A knows that the message comes from A, but ultimately message come from C, which is take the position of A. So in general terms, we can say that user C had posed as user A when she sends the documents to user B. He or she sent the document to user B. So how would user know that the message has come from C? Who's posing as user A? How B will know that the message has come from user C? It means who is posing as user A, right? If we are talking about the real life examples, this could be a case of user C posing as user A. Let's suppose it sends a funds transfer request. It sends a fund transfer request from A account to C account to bank B, right? So the bank might transfer the fund, by bank maybe transfer the fund from A account to C account, right? After all, it would think that user A has requested for the fund transfer, right? This is the case of the authentication. So this type of attack is known as fabrication. So fabrication is possible in absence of a proper authentication mechanism. Right, in general terms, as we can see here, like see, X will take the position as A, or X is posing as A and send as I am user A and transfer the 5,000 to X. So this bank or this user at the receiver sides don't know that it is user, this message comes from third person. They have no idea that the message come from third person, right? Because they have know that the message comes from user A, but what the actually happened, it is different. So this is the case of authentication, right? So in general terms, what is the definition of authentication? Someone persons or user C posing as A and sends a fund transfer request from A account to C account to bank V. So this attack is known as fabrication. Right. So authentication loses when user C sends a message posing as user A to user B. Right. Third one is the integrity. As you can see in the diagram, it will be clear that what is the use of integrity. Third principle is integrity, which says that when the content of your message are changed after the sender sent it. I am repeat again, when the content of a message are changed after the sender sent it, but before it reaches the receiver. इट मीन्स आपको जो कंटेंट है, जो यूजर ने मैसेज, सपोज यूजर ए ने जो भी कंटेंट भेजा बी को, वो बी पे पहुंचने से पहले, उस मैसेज, जो भी मैसेज था वो बी पे पहुंचने से पहले चेंज हो गया. दिस इज कॉल्ड एज इंटीग्रिटी. राइट, व्हेन द कंटेंट्स ऑफ द मैसेज आर चेंज्ड आफ्टर सेंडर सेंड इट बट बिफोर द रिसीवर रिसीव इट, वी कैन से दैट इंटीग्रिटी ऑफ द मैसेज इज लॉस्ट. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, suppose you write to check, as I am already told the example, like suppose you write a check for $100, right? This is $100 and to pay for the goods bought from the US. Like, however, when you see in your next account statement, you can started to see the check resulted in a payment of $1,000, right? A will send the message like you have to transfer the $100 to D, right? But before receiving the message to B, it will be changed, and what will be the message now? Transfer the $1,000. Here is $100. Now the message changed to transfer the $1,000 to C. Here is D. So what is the idle route? Idle route is message will be reached to B from A to B, but now after the attacker, its route will be changed, which called as actual route, that is A to C, then C to B. Right. So this type of attack is called as modification. Here the modification of the message, or we can say alteration or updations of them in the message have done. Right. So this is the case for loss of message integrity. Here the user C tampers with the message originally sent by the user A, which is actually destined for user B. User C somehow manages to access it, changes its content and send the changed message to user B. Now user B has no way of knowing that the contents of the message were changed after the user A had sent it. As we can see, all the principles at the receiver and they will not know that someone attacks on your system. Right, they will not know that a message comes from C. Here B or A don't know that the message is to be lost or message to be not to be secret. It will be sensed by someone else. And here also integrity, A and B don't have any idea about your message. Actual message will be changed. Right. So and A also user A also don't know that about this change, as well as B also don't know about the change of the contents message, right? So this is a type of attack is called as modification, right? So in general terms we can say that integrity loses when the contents of your message are changed after sender send it and before reaches to the destination, right? And modification causes loss of message integrity, right? So this is the example. This is also a next case of integrity. Here it sends a message transfer $1,000 or rupees to B. It is idle route, and this one is change the message, right? So both diagrams are the example of the message integrity, right? Now fourth one is non-repetition. What is the meaning of non-repetition? Non-repetition is it loses when user sends a message and later after message sent and received by the receiver, it refuse that he she that I will not send the message. It means non-repetition does not allow the sender of the message to refuse the claim of not sending the message, right? So there are situations where a user sends a message and later on refuse that he she has not sent the message. They refuse that he had sent the message. For example, user A could send say fund transfer request to B over the internet, right? It's an example like user A sends a fund transfer request to bank B over the internet. Now after the bank perform the funds transfers as per the A's instructions, right? After performing all the funds transfers, A could claim that she or he never sent the fund transfer instructions to the bank. It means after performing all the operations, it will refuse that. She will refuse that I have not sent the message which you claimed you have received, right? So this is the case of non-repetition. Thus we can say that a repetition or deny, right? So this the principles of the non-repetition defeats some possibilities of denying something having done, right? So this is the case of the non-repetition. As you can see in this example, user A sends the message to B and after receiver perform all the operations, it deny that I have not sent the message which you claimed you have received. So non-repetition does not allow the sender of a message to refuse the claim of not sending that message, right? Here we can also see the example non-repetition is, let's suppose, sends the message that you have to transfer some dollar to B's account. After bank will perform the operations, they deny that I never requested to transfer this amount to B, right? So this is the example, this is the diagram says the non-repetition. Right. Now next one is the access control. So the principle of the access control determines that who should be able to access what. It's very clear that because person to person have the different authorities. That some persons have authority to access it, some persons have authority to read the content, some persons have authority to write the content, some persons have authority to update the content. So person to persons, the person to persons, it's what we say that the conditions will be different from person to persons, right? So access control is basically says that it determines that who should be able to access what, right? For example, we should be able to access that user A can view the records in the database but cannot update them, right? So we can say that it comes under access control, and however user B might be allowed to make update as well, right? So access control mechanism, we can say that to ensure that right? Who should be able to access what? So as we can take the real life example, like for your students, like your MIS, as we're taking MIS, you can see the contents, you can see the result, you can see the assignments, you can see the notes, all of you can see here, but you have not authority to update or change it in that, right? So this is the case of access control, because you have access only to read the contents, to view the contents, but you have not you students don't have an authority that to change the content or update the content, right? So this is the example of the access control, that person to person's conditions to be different, right? So if we are talking about the ACL is called the access control list, because how we can identify that what person should be able to access what, right? So access control list is basically a terms which is used to prepare the list which includes the users against a list of items they can access, right? Because access control list is basically takes the list of the items according to the access. For example, if we can say that user can write to file X, if someone a user and have a requirement, or they have a facility to write the file on X, but they can only update file Y and Z. User A can write the file X but only update the file Y and Z. So access control list is basically used to prepare a list which includes that, let's suppose user A, what a user A can do, what are the files they can update it, what are the files they can only read. So all of the things are prepared in the access control list. So access control specifies and controls then who can access what. Like let's suppose how the attacker attacks on these things. Let's suppose if someone hacks some data which have no authority to update that one. So if someone update the data, so it is also the case of the deny of this access control, right? So access control specifies and controls then who can access what. As you can see the example, there is a file and suppose there are 3 users. So person to persons having a different conditions, that this persons can only read the file, this person can read or write the file, and this persons only read the file. So what so all these conditions have to prepare in the access control list, that who person to person what are the conditions and who can access, who can only read and who can only write, right? So this is example of access control. Next one is the availability. So the principles of the availability states that resources, that is the information, should be available to the authorized users all the times. I am repeat, the principles of the availability states that the resources should be able to the authorized users all the times. For example, let's suppose due to some internet intentional actions of an unauthorized users, as we can see here C, an unauthorized user A may not be able to contact a server computer B, right? So this would defeat the principles of availability, and this type of attack is called interruption. Here interruption occurs, that is the authorized users will not able to access the resources by the involvement of unauthorized users. Right. So as we know that we can also take an example, right? As we can see here, sometimes on the internet you have to log in, but there due to low congestions you are not able to log in. As we can also see the problems happens in your daily life. Sometimes you can log in, but due to a very congestion down interruptions, we are not able to use the proper resources over the internet, right? So this may be the case of the stability, because unauthorized users try to log in with your fake user and ID and passwords, right? So sometimes there warning message comes that if you have tried too many usernames and passwords, so it will gives a alert message that you have to try after 10 minutes, because you have already tried at least 10 times, so now you have to try it after 10 minutes, right? So this may be the case of the availability. Sometimes the congestions or flow down in the networks, so that the authorized users will not able to access the resources due to interruption of the unauthorized users, right? So this is the case of the availability. So interruption puts the availability of the resources in danger. Interruption puts the availability of resources in danger, right? So these are all about the principles we have discussed, that is the confidentiality. I think it will be clear to all of you that what is the use of confidentiality, authentication, integrity, non-repudiation, access control, and at last is the availability. Now, right, so now on the basis of this this is also the example of the availability. Here the username and passwords, these are authorized users wants to access the server over the networks, but will not do because someone have come here, so interruption occurs, so authorized user will not able to access the resources, right? So now on the basis of these on these six principles, we have designed OSI security model. As we know that OSI standard, we have already learned the OSI standards for network model. In networking we have here the terms that OSI standard model. So what we will the OSI network models, which describes the 7 layers of the networking technology, like application layer, presentation layer, session layer, transport layer, network layer, data link layer, and last is physical layer, right? So this OSI security model is somehow similar to that one, because it also contains the 7 layers, but layers are to be somehow different, names are somehow to be different, because these standards is all about the security, right? So it defines also the 7 layers, but here in OSI networking model, 7 layers are for the networking, but here the 7 layers are for the security, which in the form of authentication, access control, non-repudiation, data integrity, confidentiality, availability, right? And last one is the signature. The signature, we will discuss the signature terms in detail, and we will discuss in later the use of signature, right? So here we have already discussed the 6 principles, right? So these are the OSI standards for the security model, right? Now next topic we will discuss the ethical and legal issues, right? So if we are talking about the ethical and legal issues, what are these? Because there are many ethical and legal issues in computer security system, which seem to be in the area of individuals' right for privacy versus the good of the larger entity. Example, company, society. For example, if we are taking the example like tracking how employees use computers, managing customer profiles, tracking a person's travel with a passport, location tracking so as to spam cell phone with text messages, advertisements, and so on, right? So basically a concept in resolving this issue to find out a person's expectations of the privacy. What are the expectations? We have to find out that what are the person's expectations in terms of privacy, right? So basically the ethical issues in the security systems are classified in the following categories, like privacy, accuracy, property, and the last one is the accessibility. Right? So what are these? If we are talking about the privacy, privacy is basically deals with the right of an individual to control personal information. What is the meaning of privacy? So privacy is basically deals with the right of an individual to control the personal information, right? So or we can say that privacy is basically the protection of the personal or sensitive information. We can say in general terms, we can say that privacy is the protection of personal or sensitive information. So if we're talking about the individual, privacy is the desire to be left alone as an extension of a personal space, or may not be supported by the local regulations or laws, right? So in general terms, we can say that privacy is subjective, because different people have different ideas of what privacy is and how much privacy will be trade for safety, right? So person to person it will be vary. Right. So next we are talking about the accuracy. So in terms of accuracy, what is the used meaning of the accuracy? Accuracy is basically talks about the responsibility for the authenticity and accuracy of the information, right? So accuracy is all about the responsibility for the authenticity and accuracy. Accuracy, what is the meaning of accuracy of the information? If we are talking about the integrity principles, what is that? The data will be sent or by the sender will be changed before the receiver received it. So this is the it means data is not your accurate, data will be changed or modified. But in terms of accuracy, we have just talking about the authenticity, because all the principles, if confidentiality is loses, data is accurate. But if we are talking about the let's suppose authentication, so authentication is also, if we terms like users C will pose as user A, so it means they can also change the content, right? So your data is not to be accurate. And if we are talking about the integrity, data is also your modified and altered. So in that case, data is not your accurate, or we can say the information is not accurate, right? So these are the principles that mainly most important principles here follow is the integrity, that no one can alter your data, right? Now next one is the property. What is the meaning of property? Here we find out the owner of the information, where we can find out the owner of the informations. We also talk about who control access. Property means that, let's suppose this a file, let's suppose the file X. So file X, only user A will update the file. It means is this property file is a property of user A, because she only update the file, because he have written the file, he have written all the contents, so that no one can change the content. If other one have also changed the contents, then information may be changed, confidential information may be changed. So property is very important terms here to find out the owner of the information. Let's suppose some notices comes that, and after the written all the notice, someone have signed signature there. It means he or we, signature denotes that she will write the content of that notice, and so that after the written all the notice, that he will do then the signature here, right? So it's a very important in terms of the security that every information, for every information there is a owner, that we can say that who we can also talk about the who can control the access, right? So if someone have the property of the files, then they will give the rights that of that property, then who will able to access that, who will able to access, who are able to read, right? So if someone is a property, then only he is the owner, then only that owner will decide that who she will be able to access what, right? So property is a very important terms in terms about the issues, ethical and legal issues, right? Next is here terms is the accessibility. So if we are talking about the accessibility, so this deals with the issue of type of information an organization has the right to collect, right? I repeat, and that it deals with it deals with the issue of the type of information an organization has the right to collect. Information has the right Organization has the right to collect, and in that situations it also expect to know the measures which will safeguard against any foreseen eventualities, right? So its accessibility is also the important pointer here, that we can also deals this issue that which type of information, that is the type of the information organization has the right to collect, right? Because not for all the informations we have a right to collect. So it's also have decided previously that what type of informations have the right that we can collect, right? So these are the most important issues that we have discussed, that is privacy, accuracy, property and accessibility, right? So because different peoples have different ideas about this privacy, it's not same for the every person's, right? So if we are talking when dealing with the legal issues, we need to remember that there is a hierarchy of the regulatory bodies that governs the legality of the information, right? So we can also classify as like internationals. We have an international, like for example international cyber crime, right? There's another term we can say that federal, right? In federals we can say that there are various like various terms like FARPA, GLB, these are also comes under, right? And next is also state also, for example UCITA, SB, these are also done. And next is also the organizations, for example computer use policy, right? So these are also about the legal and thus ethical issues. Basically these issues and the computer security system seems to be in the area of individual right to privacy versus the good of a larger identity, right? So these issues we have discussed these issues because these are very important, that why we need the privacy and what are the basic concept about the privacy, accuracy and property is also very important here, and accessibility, right? So these are the important terms we have discussed here, right? So before we moving on to the next topics, it's a very important that you have to understand that why we need security and why we need the principles for the security, right? So I think it will be clear to you that why we need security and why we need the principles of the security, because the principles are very important if you want to protect your network from the attackers, if you want to protect your data, if you protect your personal secret informations, and there is a need to follow some principles. If the confidentiality, authentication, integrity, access control, non-repudiation, access availability, all of these, if we have followed the principles, then your data will be very much secure over the network. Because we can't say that we followed all these principles, then still we can't say that your data is 100% secure over the networks. No one data, either we can use any other techniques, any antiviruses, firewalls, all of the we have done over the internet, then still we can't say that our data is 100% secure over the network. Still we can't say that, right? But we can secure our data as much as possible by the involvement all the policies, by the involvement all the principles, right? So these all about the today's various we have discussed the various principles, then on the basis of these principles, next we will discuss in the next lecture that what are the attacks, that how to overcome the attacks, and what are the different types of attacks that attack your system over the network, right? So these are just references. Atul Khate is a very popular and very good book. You can go and refer these books. There's another book. There's also another book. So you can also go and refer these books. Right, there's another books to call the Tannenbaum is also a book. So you can also, William Stalling is also another book. So you can also go and refer these books. So, but I would prefer the Atul Khate first because it's a very good book, right? Thank you.